All right. There were protests in Portland today. Antifa showed up, and so did a bunch of right wingers. The reports are that it was Proud Boys, an avowed violent group. They've done violence many times before. They're right wingers, of course. The Three Percenters, the Oath Keepers, the militia, and yes, Daily Stormer. Those are neo Nazis. So on the other side was Antifa. Now, as far as I've seen so far, no reports of significant violence, thank God, from either side, okay? Now, what was Donald Trump's reaction to it? If you saw the title of this video, and it might sound like, wait, is that hyperbole that Trump is worried that Antifa is going to hurt Nazis? No, that's literal. That's literal. And is he considering calling the Nazis a terrorist group? No. Is he consider calling all these right-wing groups that have spawned these mass shooters that have caused massacre after massacre in this country terrorists? No, not remotely, not ever. He has defunded the groups within the Department of Homeland Security who are looking into these right-wing groups, and then he turns around today, two different tweets, talks about how he might call Antifa an organization of terror and might label them all terrorists. So he never mentioned the right wing. He never mentioned the neo-Nazis at the march. He never mentioned the Proud Boys, the militia, or anyone else. He is not, it's a fact. You can go look on his Twitter feed right now. He's not like, hey, I'm concerned that neo-Nazis might do violence in Portland. Not remotely concerned. Not remotely concerned. I'm concerned that Antifa might hurt my beloved neo-Nazis. He says, I'm worried about Antifa. No, they might hurt right-wingers. They might hurt I'm going to call them terrorists. Now, first of all, Antifa doesn't have leaders. And so actually one of the protesters being interviewed by CNN made a great point. He said, it's a leaderless organization. It's just an ideology. Anyone who's opposed to fascists and is willing to stand up to them. So if you declare Antifa a terrorist organization, what you've done is labeled an entire ideology terrorism, and then you could arrest anyone you want on the left and call them terrorists. But by the way, this is exactly where we're headed, because terrorism doesn't mean anything anymore. In the old days, for a brief period of time, it meant attacking civilians, right? Now, it means, no, anyone I don't like, I call a terrorist. It doesn't matter whether they're attacking civilians or not. And if someone on my side is, in fact, killing civilians, I'm not going to call them terrorists. I'm going to call them freedom fighters, whatever I'm going to call them. It never meant anything for the last couple of decades. But now, under Trump, since he's a full-blown fascist, he says, well, why don't I just call everyone on the left Antifa, and then I'll call them all terrorists, and then I'll start to lock them up. Guys, there's neo-Nazis in the streets. And you know what Antifa stands for? And some of you still might not know this. It's anti-fascism. Anti-fascism. So Trump is not worried about the actual fascist. He's worried about the anti-fascists. So they say, well, you know that sometimes they throw milkshakes on people. Hey, do you know that sometimes the right wing does massacres where dozens and dozens of people are murdered? But you're not concerned about that. They're not terrorists. You don't even mention them. So, look, we have these nonsense conversations about, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, who was Israel, right to block them because they said something that offended the right-wing government of Israel. We've got a Trump administration here saying, I'm so worried about Nazis, the left wing might hurt them. Are you kidding me? This is the insanity that we're living in right now. So, look, the mainstream media, they have to do a false equivalency. The New York Times is still playing patty cakes and having conferences about how fair they should be to Donald Trump. Have they been fair enough? Now, when they point out the truth, even if printing the truth, without giving proper context, they're like, I don't know, I'm worried. I don't want to be part of the resistance. By the way, if they were in Germany back in the 1930s, they probably would have had a very similar meeting. Well, I don't want to be part of the resistance. No. I'm going to treat all sides, whether they're right-wingers in Germany or left-wingers in Germany, with the same kind of treatment. Well, you know what happens then? The fascists, because they believe in violence and they believe in that kind of authoritarian government, roll over everyone else. Okay, I am not unclear about it. I am against the fascists. It's not complicated. And if you're a decent human being and you're a real American, you'd be against the fascists and the neo-Nazis and the Daily Stormers and all the right-wing groups that are egging people on to kill people and kill people and kill people. But our president is unclear about that. Actually, he's perfectly clear. You know which side he's on. He's against anti-fascists, and he never, ever criticizes the fascists. That's, you know why? The answer is very simple. The New York Times won't tell you because they're so scared. They're so scared of the actual fascists. Oh, no, they might call me liberal. I don't want to tell you the truth. I want to do political correctness, not factual correctness, political correctness. I'm going to call everything even. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to call it even, right? And I pick on the New York Times because they're supposed to be better than that, but it's almost all of the mainstream media. So I'm not in that camp. We're home of progressives. We're going to defend progressives, and we're going to fight against fascists. TYT.com/join. You become part of this independent media, and we fight back, okay? And we don't do it with fists. We don't do it with violence. We don't do it physically. We do it politically, but we do it strong, okay? We don't do it like these corporate Democrats, scared of their own shadow. Mainstream media, scared of their own shadow, running from the fascists and the right wing nonstop. We fight back politically, democratically against those fascists, and we win, and we defend America. That's who we are. And yes, we have the courage to call it what it is. Donald Trump is a fascist.